Welcome to the Heart of the Matter. On today's episode, we have somebody who's no stranger to the Heart of the Matter. She's been here before. She's even presented an episode of the Heart of the Matter in the past, in the person of Dakore Akande. She's an A-list star in the Nigerian film industry. And she's here with us today just to share some of the things that have been happening to her since she last came on the Heart of the Matter, and to talk about the movies that she's done. Dakore, it's been 50 films or over since you started in the Nigerian film industry.
Yes.
Many people aspire to be Hollywood stars. And do you see Nollywood becoming like Hollywood in the future?
I definitely see that. I see it, and I'm so excited because it's been a long time coming. I've been in the industry now almost 20 years. And
wow.
That's a lot. Like, when I think about it now, I'm just like, wow, okay, you know, and I've seen the progression, I've seen the growth, I've seen the stagnancy. You know, we've come through a lot of, you know, ups and downs, but here we are now. Our films are being accepted internationally in, you know, the biggest film festivals, and, you know, so it's great. It's a great time to be an artist in Nigeria.
What was it like when you got your first film part? And compared to what it's like now?
Yeah, I mean, back then we just did it for fun, you know, we just did it because we had the talent, and I was wide-eyed and just ready for the world, you know, so whatever opportunity came my way, I just took full advantage of it. I never set out to be an actor, and I always say this not to belittle it or anything, but to say that it wasn't something that I had to seek. It just came my way, you know, and came naturally to me, more naturally by finding out in my first movie.
Do you remember what your first movie was?
Oh, I do. It's called Silent Tears. It was in 2001. It was released. I played the lead, which is really tough, especially your first time. So already the responsibility was always heavy on me, but I was able to rise to the challenge, and after my first film, I got the second one and the third one. The second one was called The Playboy. The third one was She Devil, which was very popular. I wonder why. I was particularly bad in that one. And then Emotional Crack.
When you say bad, you mean?
Yes, my character was, you know, she was really a bad girl. And I think back then, it was also unheard of because you always saw women crying and being beaten and, you know, being, you know, put upon. But I came in with a lot of strength, with a lot of, you know, talking back and, you know, raging against the status quo. And so I think that was also something that people hadn't seen in film, which now when I look back on it, I say, wow.
And then over those years, Nollywood has changed so much. What are the changes that impress you particularly about Nollywood today?
Wow, the changes that impress me the most is really the attention to detail now. There's that professionalism that was lacking back then. It's gotten a lot of help technically as well. You know, technology has really helped Nollywood grow a lot faster. And there's been a shift between what Nollywood used to be, which still obtains, which is like the Asaba movies and stuff, but the movies are being shown in the cinemas, which back then was unheard of. It was like, I'm sure people never even thought it possible, you know, but that has changed, and I think that has really, really impressed me, and the fact that our audience as well has become more discerning, and, you know, they know what they will accept and what they won't, so that drives us to do better and to give them the best that they deserve. Back
in the day, you could shoot a movie in a day or two.
Yeah, I'd never been on those sets, but I think generally you could shoot a film in a week, which is crazy, but it's because of the funding. There was no money. There was no, you know, funding for it, so we had to just do the best we could with the little resources, and some gems came out of it. There were a lot of, you know, forgettable films, but there were some gems that, you know, you talk about Violated, you talk about Emotional Crack. You know, there's certain films that are now classics, even from shooting in, you know, under those circumstances. So.
Okay. And now you've the whole industry, I mean, I remember every film was pirated at one time.
Oh, yeah.
What has the industry done to be able to counteract that?
Piracy, unfortunately, is one of the stories that hasn't really changed. In fact, it's gotten worse, unfortunately, because I think it's a global problem now. You know, it's not just our issue, but I think our government they haven't put in place the structures to really combat it, and you know, show people that if you pirate a film, you will be imprisoned, you will, you know, lose your livelihood, your, you know, evil livelihood, because really you're feeding off of people's sweat and their intellectual property.
But now that films are showing in the cinemas,
yeah.
I mean, they can't pirate it until it comes out for general release or something.
Yes, but even at that, the films don't have enough of a run in the cinemas to make that much money for it to be overlooked. It's still a very viable income stream for filmmakers. So with either way, I think online is helping, so it's given another alternative marketing distribution strategy, but we still need to sell. We still need to sell.
I guess the best way to stop piracy is when people stop buying pirated movies.
Yes.
So that's an appeal to you.
It is an appeal.
If you're out there and you know the movie is cheap.
Don't. I mean, for me, as a practitioner, I don't buy them because I even feel that it's just sowing bad energy. Already, this is something that's, you know, a problem that I'm aware of. So how can I be part of that? And I try to tell my family and tell my friends, don't buy the ones you see on the road, because once people stop buying, then the market will cease, and then they would have to be forced to go through the proper channels. You know, so we are part of the problem of piracy, and we have to do it together.
I've got a list of some of the movies that you've made here. Journey to Self.
Yes.
Piece of Flesh.
Yes.
Men Do Cry. Emotional Crack. Shattered Illusion. Yes. When the Going Gets Tough. How many films would you like to do in 1 year? I mean, are you know,
like
busy,
right
busy,
now?
busy? Yeah.
I'm busy. I'm busy because I've been away for so long, so I have to catch up. I have to try and, you know, work hard to get back, you know. But I've been lucky with the projects that I've been on so far, especially 50. Journey to Self, all those films were my re-entry into the industry, and I've done Unconditional with Uche Jumbo. That only came out online, so, and then a few in the market. But at the end of the day, in a year, I would like to do maybe 2 films a year. You know, because I'm now a mom, I'm a wife, there's so many other aspects to my life as opposed to when I was doing all these films. I was single, I could fly everywhere, I could, you know, at the drop of a hat, I could take a role without even thinking about it. But now, you know, so putting all those things together, I would also not mind a series. Yes, I wouldn't mind a series as well.
We'll talk about that in a moment. We're just going to take a quick break. Okay. Viewers, stay tuned to The Heart and Matter, where we're talking to Dakore. We'll be back in a minute. Welcome back to The Heart of the Matter, where we're talking to Dakore. Dakore, you talked about the fact that when you started in the film industry, you were single and you could do what you wanted and so on. Now you're married. How's it been in those intervening years, getting used to marriage and also getting back into your career?
Oh, it's been a struggle. It's not been easy. I think for me, I didn't mind at first not working as much because I was working, and for me to have shot, in fact, actually I've done closer to 70 films now than 50. I've done so many more since then, but I think at first it was okay. I accepted it as something I needed to do to nurture my relationship and, you know, build my family. But coming back... Now
your family is your husband and
my husband and my 2 daughters. Yes, I have 2 daughters. Ayomide Zoya, she's 4, going on 40. And Oyinda Sola, who is almost 2. She'll be 2 in February. So, and of course my husband, you know, and it's been tough. I mean, but it's been fulfilling. I want to say that definitely, because I say tough because I don't want to be here and just say, oh, motherhood and everything has been a breeze. It hasn't been. You know, there have been some real, you know, having to get in there and, you know, do the work.
I can tell you from standing from where I am,
exactly,
the parenting never ends.
It never ends.
Even when they're 30, you're still...
I can imagine. I still call my mom every day, like, oh, you know, what do I do? What do you think? You know, so it's every day, and there's no time off. You're always on call.
Recently, you had to go for the premiere of a film. Is that the first time that you've been away from your children?
No, it's not the first time. I had to go shoot a film in Cameroon, and I went for about 10 days, and that was the first time, and it was tough. It was really, really tough. I was calling them every minute. My husband was like, "Look, babe, you have to work now. Like, come on." But it got easier, and it gets easier, especially because I have my mom. She's always there whenever I'm not there, so it gives me that peace. Yes, I mean, I have a nanny, but there's nothing like, your own person who loves your child unconditionally being around while you have to work.
And the children,
yes.
From my experience, when you've been away as a parent for a little while, when you come back, they want to punish you.
Oh, yeah.
For going away.
Oh, definitely.
And that must make you feel really
really bad. I feel really, really bad. And then they just cling to me, especially the baby. She's just like, she's on me like white on rice. She's just like, mommy, where are you going? Like, if I'm just standing in the corner about to disappear, her eyes on me like, where are you going? So it's really amazing, but I have to do what I have to do, and I think at the end of the day, they will appreciate it, because there's nothing like your daughters watching their mom go to work. I think it's a very powerful message, and letting them know that whatever they have to do or they want, they can still go to work, whether you're married or not.
And it builds up your repertoire of tales under the moonlight.
Yes.
Because one day you're going to sit down with these children and talk to them about all these things that they did, and they won't believe you.
They won't believe me. They say, no, it wasn't me. I couldn't do that. Like, whatever.
And then before your latest film, because we're going to talk about that in a little while.
Okay.
Just before that, you did Desperate Heroes, was it? What was it called?
Lunchtime Heroes.
Lunchtime Heroes.
Yes.
Tell us a bit about that. It's not showing in the movie houses at the moment.
Yes, because it's done its run. It's had its run earlier in the year. But it did very well. I think it was refreshing to be in that film, because it was all about children. It wasn't about what we're used to. And I think I'm drawn to projects like that because we want to make a change, and I want to be part of.
You want to pass values.
Yes, and it was so great, because when it happened, I played the principal of this school, this fictional school, and it's all about students that we've already looked at and discarded as the never-do-wells. We just had a class for them, like the rejects, basically. Okay. But there was this big competition, the governor's ball competition, and the kids that we thought, the science kids and the math kids, things were happening, that forced us to have to, take a look at these children that we had, and they had talents, yes, and they had great talent, and that's what, saved the day at the end of the day in the competition. So it has that message of, whatever you want to do, go for it. Don't let anyone put you down, even if people discard you, don't discard yourself. And it was a heavy message, but it came in a very beautiful way. And the children, great talent. I'm really inspired by the talent that I'm seeing, the young talent. That's not just what's happening now, but the children. I mean, these kids are they range from 14 till 17.
And they were acting.
And they were acting the first time, and they killed it. They were just so present. Like, even when we were exhausted as the older actors, they're all gung-ho, and so it forced us to get with it. Like, don't let these kids take over.
Now, just talking about children for a moment, it seems as if our society has abandoned children, because we're not taking care of their education. We're not taking care of a lot of parents don't have time to spend with their children, so their children begin to do all sorts of things, become all sorts of things. So what do you think the film industry, because your industry molds characters, particularly of young people, what do you think the film industry can do to correct this?
Well, I think the film industry is such a powerful tool. We're not using it at all. It's very underutilized, because I studied mass communication, so I know the power of the media, and whatever it is that you put in front of people, that's what they're going to take. So we have to just have more wholesome content. We need to use it to re-engineer our minds, and even the younger ones, because they're the future. It's unfortunate that we've glorified more negative stereotypes in the media because it's sensational, because it's catchy. That's what people want to see, but which is fine. I mean, okay, let them do that, but we have to also do our bit and make sure that we're putting out those messages that are, that are wholesome and that can make, good citizens tomorrow. And we need to do that, and that's why I was such, a great part of Lunchtime Heroes, because it was a perfect opportunity to say this, to give this story, this story and this message, that platform.
Now, parents are not spending enough time with their children because they've got work and everybody's so busy.
Yeah.
But if they don't spend enough time with their children, they don't know how their children turn out. So it looks as if all that time that they are working to make life easier for their children is lost.
It's lost.
Because, again, how can the industry begin to write scripts that speak to this particular issue? Yeah,
I think you're right, because at the end of the day, we have to let people know that it's a struggle and we're all in it together, and we're all going to try and find a way to, towards a solution. I think it will really even help parents who are going through that to find other ways, because at the end of the day, we can't let television raise our children. We have to be present. And I think even for me as a parent now, I realize that I can't work too much and not know my children, because you'll struggle, and that money and that fame and whatever it is you get, but you lose the essence, the beautiful part
the very
of being
reason
a parent.
You're struggling.
Yes. So it doesn't make any sense. So I think if we have movies that show the negative effects of what's happening in our society that's making things so hard for us as a society, as a nation, is to see that this is the way it could go. Do I want it to be this way? What do I have to do to change so that I'm not what I saw in that movie? So we need to do that work. And I think it's really great that actors now are producers and directors. I think now we'll be able to really take charge and really think about what kind of messages that we're passing across and have the power to do that. Okay. Because before we weren't, we were just the workers.
Now let's go to 50. Yeah. Behind the scenes, what birthed the whole idea of the film 50? I know that you didn't write it, but what's the story behind 50?
The story behind 50 is basically from Ismo Abudu's story. It's the story of when she turned 50. She got the inspiration to talk about what it's like to be a 50-year-old woman today in Nigerian society. And that truly is what 50 is about. It's about 4 women who are going through their own personal crisis, but on the outside are very well put 50. Together.
Because they'd have had to age you.
Yes, and I was aged. Yes, I was. And I told the makeup artist, go for it, because I know I have a very young face, and I didn't want to, do a disservice to the role. And I think I pulled it off, because I watched it for the first time in London at the film festival, and I was like, oh my God, but it was great. I mean, it's not about you being the age. It's about you understanding the experience of, and I know 50-year-old women. I know I have my mom, I have my aunts, I know what they're going through, so I knew that, look, I have to try as much as I can to embody that idea so that it gives it that authenticity.
So, if you're playing a part,
yes,
because as you speak, I'm sure the viewers want to know, if you're playing a part, do you have to try and become in your mind this person that you're playing, even though you're not, you're a completely different person?
Yes, you have to. That's the only way, and you have to not act it. You have to just be it. And when you have that inspiration of women around you that are older, I actually had a coach for the film as well who was in her 50s. Okay. So that also helped me, So that's my own process, but I'm sure all the other actresses had their own process. But it's really important that you have to be the character. It's sometimes hard to actually, wear off that character. Even when you're off the set, you still have elements of that character inside you. You have to almost exorcise it after.
Yeah, I can imagine. So the story of 50. now it made the film festivals.
It did. It made
Tell us
the
about
prestigious BFI London Film Festival. And it's the first Nigerian film ever to show at the festival, which is a great feat. And I think it just shows...
And how was it received at the festival?
It was so well received. We had a big premiere at
So you can be
Review.
expecting invitations to act in
international
British,
films,
yeah.
yes, definitely. And God is the one that made it possible. Honestly, I don't take any credit for it, because there's so many films that get shot, there's so many things, but we were singled out, and I think it's because it's time.
We're going to go on a short break.
Okay.
We'll be back in a moment. So viewers, stay tuned to The Heart of the Matter, where we're talking to Dakore. We'll be back in a minute.
That is impossible, Lizzie. I'm 50.
So, someone with a nice waiting call and a healthy sperm count has been servicing you, you naughty girl.
Highly unprofessional.
They're calling you neurotic, a drama queen.
I want items that scream class. How many times must I say it? Money is not my problem, but how to spend it.
Pray like you came here for a miracle.
Why is God unhappy with me? Why has he cursed me?
Don't leave me, please, Kate.
I'm going to be hitting the big 5-0, and with you, the viewers, I'm going to be marking it with style. That man is nothing but a beast. I ought to get someone to slit his throat.
Welcome back to the final segment of The Heart of the Matter, where we've been talking to Dakore, a movie star in Nigeria. Dakore, apart from making movies, we've talked a little bit about your children, your being a mother, and you started this blog called Dakore Mom's Blog. What was the reason behind it? What's the purpose of the blog, and what made you decide that you needed to talk to people about mothering?
To be honest, yet again, the opportunity presented itself. I got approached by Cow and Gate, which is Danone group, and they reached out to me, but they had certain restrictions on being able to advertise, because they don't want to be seen to be, giving more of advertising to formula feeding as opposed to breastfeeding. So we were thinking of ways that we could impact the moms and let moms know that we're all in it together. And so basically that's how the idea for the blog came about, and I had to make entries into the blog and just share my experiences as a mom, and it was great. It honestly, because I started out as a writer. Actually, I used to write poetry and music, lyrics. So it was a nice way of me getting back to, and of course my journalism background and all that. So I was able to express myself in a different way, and it was really successful for the time that it ran. It ran for 6 months, which was the time of the contract. But I'm sure I could even continue it if I wanted.
Okay,
but
so the blog was associated with the contract in a sense. So it was aimed at mothers.
Aimed at mothers to let just to talk about whatever issues they were going through. So I would talk about nutrition. I would talk about my challenges with that. I would talk about my challenges trying to find a good daycare for my children, talk about the expectations on women, on moms, just to try and, let people know that even though I'm a celebrity, I do have the same experiences as you, and we're all trying to figure it out. And I got lots of feedback, lots of questions from women, lots of encouragement. It was amazing. I mean, I learned a lot from doing that.
Did they express their pain?
Yes.
Because I've discovered that there's a lot of pain out there. And how did you handle it?
It was really heart-wrenching for me. It was heart-wrenching to even write about the things that I wrote about, because of course you don't want to expose yourself. We all want to give this image that we're all fine, But I think in me doing that, it gave these women the ability to also talk about their own issues, and I had to even advise some of them and encourage most of them that, look, it's real. The pain you felt is real and valid, you know. And I think when you say that to someone, it makes them feel better automatically because they can start to heal from that. And sometimes when you feel you're the only one going through something, it's really refreshing to hear someone else's perspective and to know that you're not alone. And I was really happy that I got the opportunity to do that, and I healed from that as well.
Okay, so that's fizzled out a little.
It has.
Any
now.
plans to go back to it?
Definitely, I want to continue from the new year. That's what I want to start focusing on, because I have a ministry in there, because I'm a young mom, and the world today, I think there was even a blog that I wrote about, an entry about the internet and how my daughter almost watched porn on YouTube. And it shocked me, it shocked everybody, like, oh my God, you know. So I want to be able to talk about some more experiences that I've had as well, you know, and I think it's definitely needed. We all need it.
Just talking about the Nigerian film industry. Nigerians, not necessarily out of the Nigerian film industry, but people like David Oyelo or Chiwetel Ejiofor, they are on the international scene now.
Yes.
What do you think is going to happen? I was reading somewhere about Genevieve saying that she's got a film that's going to, you know.
Yes.
Where do you see the industry itself going? I remember I was in the car park in Orlando looking for a taxi, and I got a taxi, and the driver had his laptop and he was watching a Nigerian movie. And Nigerian movies were the typical ones. They're going into the middle of the forest, you know. And that is changing, if it hasn't totally changed. I remember the other day I was on a British Airways flight and there was a Nigerian movie. So that's happening. Where do you think the Nigerian, can it be bigger than Bollywood, bigger than Nollywood?
Definitely. I think it can be bigger than Hollywood, bigger than Bollywood, because we have the numbers. We're huge. We haven't even thought about the Nigerians in diaspora. That's a whole nother, that's why you would see someone watching a film like that in a taxi, because it's gone across, you know, and we have the numbers, we have the support of our people. And so I definitely see us being on that level, and I hope that even, because of course Chiwetel and Tandy Newton, who came down to shoot the film here in Nigeria, they've gotten a sense of Nigeria, they've been bitten by the bug, and Chiwetel is Nigerian, David Oyelowo as well, who's been back here too, is Nigerian. So I hope that we can all kind of collaborate. I hope that they won't sit back and think, oh, they're too Hollywood for us, because we're coming, you know, so whether they like it or not.
There's a young man that I know that's here in Guiding Light Assembly who's done a film with, what's his name? The British...
Idris Elba?
Idris Elba.
Okay.
I can't remember what the film is called now.
Okay.
I'm sure you know him, Okpayemi.
Okay, it's a Beast of No Nation.
Beast of No Nation, that's the one. And so it's happening.
It's happening. It's happening. That is Idris's film. He executive produced the film, and he got a Japanese director, Kari Fukunaga, to direct. And it's done really well at the festival. It showed also at the London Film Festival. Okay. Because he's Ghanaian, I think he's Ghanaian and Sierra Leonean. Okay. Idris Elba.
Because he shot bits of it in Ghana.
In Ghana, yes. Yeah. And most of the cast is from Ghana as well.
Is finance a problem in the industry?
Oh, definitely. We're having big issues with financing, and because sometimes even these big films that you hear about that do the festival run, they don't do well when it comes to the cinema and to people buying it and stuff. So they don't make their money back. So they don't make their money back. The next investor who sees that is like, oh, I'm not going to go there. But if our films do well and make the box office, then it encourages further investments.
And we also need to have people stop buying
pirated films. Please, I beg of you, if you've been doing it, just stop it. I know it's very easy, it's cheap, but please think about the far-reaching consequences.
Because the industry will improve if more of the money came into the industry.
Into the industry, yes.
Well, Dakore, it's been really great having you on this episode. I hope it won't be so long before we have you back.
No way, I promise. Now I'm back to stay, yes.
Thank you ever so much for coming.
Thank you, Pastor.
Viewers, I'm sure you've enjoyed this chat with Dakore, and that you will come back again next week when we bring another episode of The Heart of the Matter. Until then, stay blessed. Okay. So thanks so much for coming, Dakore. We've really enjoyed our discussion. I'm sure everybody in the studio has been happy to see you here. And viewers, I'm sure you enjoyed the episode too. We'll be back again next week with another episode of The Heart of the Matter. Until then, stay blessed.